Hello everybody and welcome back. Today is round now 5 of SRL. We still lead both the drivers and constructors standings after our solid win at Abu Dhabi last week. And here we are starting our last qualifying run here at Imola, a track that I touched on a little bit in the last SRL video. Going into this, to basically sum up what I talked about in the last video, if I go into this race and I'm dominant here like I've been at some of the other tracks, as we have a car almost in the way as we break into turn 1 here, we got a good banker running on our first run. So we're really looking for the improvement here. As you can see, we are not P2. We're not P1, we are P2. But like I was saying, if I would have a dominant victory at this track as well, a track that, as a pad player, this track is horrible for pad players. One of, if not the worst tracks in the F1 game history, at least of the F1 games I've played in league racing, which would be since 2019. This track's horrible for pad. If we have a dominant win here, then mentally I feel like, yeah, there's no way I'm not going to win this championship. So, with that said, P1 is currently Manuelito, or Nicolai. I suck at names. He is Italian. This is an Italian track, and he actually lives about 10 minutes from this track. So this is very much a home race for him. He has pole position as it stands, but remember what I said about Austria, active learning. I learned over my first couple qualifying runs where I could push a little further, and it's P1 as we cross the line. On paper, another pole position, but we will see if he beats our time as he is behind us on his lap. We've been pole position in every race so far this season, which is just a great record. We err on the side of caution, really making sure we get out of the way of the Williams, even though he was pretty much in our way going into turn 1. And yeah, you can see Manuelito Nicolai, he beats our lap and he will claim pole position here, which honestly I feel like is kind of a good thing, because as much as I want to win the championship, I'm on my revenge tour after the terrible luck I had last season of just getting fucked over every race. You know, it's kind of boring if you kind of just walk through everyone every race like they're not there. So still having the competition close enough that I gotta fight for it, it makes it a lot more fun, and I'm sure it makes it a lot more entertaining for these videos. But yeah, this kind of set things in stone for kind of the trend of the whole season. My question was, am I just gonna walk my way to this championship, or do I at least have to fight for it? Well, we got our answer now. We do at least have to fight for it. You know, there are going to be tracks like this that are terrible in pad that we're going to have to deal with a disadvantage, and Nicolai is close enough to us in skill that he can cover that gap of the disadvantage pad has on a track like this. Not to mention this is just his home track and one of, if not his best tracks in the game in general. So, yeah, we're not going to be able to just walk in there and be fastest every race, which makes things a lot more exciting, and it makes you feel like you earn it a lot more when you do get a good result. But yeah, that would be P2 for us in qualifying, as everyone else has pretty much finished their laps. And we will see if we can get a good launch. I believe I touched on it in my last video about how the update to the force feedback makes grid starts much easier on the pad. It was pretty awful to do grid starts on pad because the feedback would jump to 100 and off and 100 and off, which would make it really stiff and make your throttle inputs really inconsistent on the pad. But now with that gone, I can go back to my old ways of just absolutely torching people off the line. As we approach the grid now to get ready for the race itself, same old strategy. I haven't seen a single track in the game yet where it's not the strategy to go hards to mediums, so I'm not going to rehash that point again. You want to start at an angle here because the track immediately juts to the right and you don't want to have to turn whether you're at the lower gears. It's going to make the car a lot more unstable. And it is calling for rain at the very end of the race, so it's even a question of the track, if the track will get wet enough for us to go to wet tires at the end. But nonetheless, we're not basing our strategy on that at all. The lights go out. Manuelito's on medium tires, but we still get a better start than him, even though we're on the hard tires. We've absolutely got a perfect start. And heading into turn 1, we are going to lead this race until we get hit in the ass. We got heavy floor damage. We got side pod damage. Our front left wing is off, and yeah, it is all gone downhill. Manuelito has spun with us as well. I believe that's Jesper Lepinen. The one Alpha Tauri is off as well. And things have gone from incredible to terrible in one corner time. It was so disappointing to have this happen because that grid start was so good. My reactions were great. My throttle application was great. To beat someone off the line that's ahead of you and on a softer compound tire, you know you really got a good start. And my emotions just went from like, all right, we got to fight for this one, to holy shit, what a start we in there, to, well, fuck me, all within the span of about 5 seconds. And what ended up happening, just Manuelito, he broke a little too late, and he got into the rear of me. And the stewards, for some reason, decided that spinning someone out, the leader, and just giving him damage that fucks his race is no penalty. So, fuck me, I guess. Oh, and to add insult to injury, our teammate had the pit, so we had to wait, and they didn't replace my front wing. So now we got to pit again. Fan-fucking-tastic. We pit again, and this time, they give me a wing. Hallelujah. Now, we have gone from first to dead last. We have heavy floor damage. We have side pod damage. Tire strategy's a little fucked. And yeah, things are going absolutely swimmingly so far. Oh, and we're almost a lap down. So if I don't keep on it, even though I'm really far behind, I still got to push, or else I'm going to go a lap down to Max Mulder, who I saw the start from his perspective. Like, it was like the seas parted and he was Moses. I mean, that must have been a great feeling. It's like, I got a decent qualifying position, whatever. And then everyone just gets fucking destroyed into turn one. It's like, oh, I'm second. And then you pass the guy for the lead. Oh, shit. Nice. I mean, I've been in that position before where you're just like, all right, we're in for a tough middle of the points road race. And the next thing you know, you're just fucking leading. You're just like, I ain't asking questions, I just race here. But yeah, it's the same word I use all the time. It's frustrating. I put in a lot of work into the setup because this is a track that Pad just struggles so hard at. I can't emphasize enough. It's literally like a 6/10 of a second difference between similar skilled Pad and wheel players. It is unbelievable how hard it is to race this track on Pad, let alone get the setup to work better on Pad, and still have the setup work with the tire temperatures in the race. Like, I put a lot of work into the setup. I put at least 2 hours into the setup, another 2 hours in the race and qualifying prep, just to, you know, get fucked not even 20 seconds into the race, no fault of my own. And then to go and look on the stewards report afterwards and see that they're like, yep, this wasn't due to lag and was completely his fault. No penalty. It's just another fucking kick in the dick, to be honest. It's like, you know, what more am I supposed to do? At this point, spoiler alert, we don't win this race. But, like I say, I never give up. We're always going to see what can happen. Anything can happen. And I want to scrape every single point I can. I take pride in always racing to the end. Yeah, it's just, it is irritating that the only races I haven't won this season are races that I just get crashed into. You know, it would be one thing if I'm spinning out, if I'm fucking up, if I'm not fast, if I'm making the mistakes. But when you race error-free for an entire, almost a third of the season at this point in this round, but then still you have next to no lead in the Drivers' Championship when you got into every pole position and been the fastest car on every track. Maybe with the exception of this one. But this track's hard to overtake on, and I got the lead off the start. You know, I was very much in it to fight for this win. The only kind of good side of this is that Manuelito got spun as well. You know, it caused a Constantina effect where he hit into me, which slowed his car down, which made Oleski get into him, so he spun as well. What's up, Phoebes? So he got taken out in this mess as well, but he didn't get the damage that I got. So at this point in the race, I'm really worried. He ruins my race, and now he's going to gain on me in the championship because of that. So I was very worried at this point. Even though we are still early in the season, I know very much well, even in these long seasons that cover every track in the game, or nearly every track in the game, it still can very much come down to the very end, and every single one of these incidents makes a big difference, especially when you're fighting for a championship. If you're like a midfield runner and an incident happens, it's like, it's the difference between 4 points and 0 points. But when you're a front runner, that's the difference between 25 and 0. And if you think of it, if your competition is consistently getting second when you win, that means if you get taken out in one race and they win, you have to win, given they're getting second, 4 races in a row just to make up for that one that wasn't even your fault. So that kind of just puts in perspective how big of a swing when you're fighting for the top of the championship table. Little things like this can be, and not just to mention, it's like I said, the time you put into it, and we're all competitors. We show up every race regardless of what the championship standings are, and we're competitive. We want to win here and now, and everyone goes through this in league racing, but a big part of it is how you deal with it. You gotta, like I've been saying ever since I started making these videos this year, you gotta be able to look at what you can improve on in the race, So even after this race, looking back at it, I'm thinking, what more could I have done with the setup? What corners could I be pushing at a little bit more? Little things like that. Any kind of maximization I can do. And again, like I said, you can never give up because you never know what's going to happen. And at the very worst, even if nothing happens, this is a free 32 laps of experience to get in the feel of floor damage, which could be something that plays a factor in another race in the future. There's always tons of information that you can learn from every race, even if you don't gain points in the race. As the race would progress, we would gain 1 position from a car, pitting, getting damage. But yeah, it's the same old. We're very far behind the rest of the field. We are really just, you got a knot in your feeds. Oh my god. We are very far behind the rest of the field. We really need a safety car to even have a chance of bringing ourselves back in this one. But even then, we got floor damage and side pod damage, so it's going to be rough to try to make any positions up. But yeah, still not giving up. Still hanging in there. There's a spun car of Senna. I can't believe it. Senna has spun in a league race. I've never seen him do that before. No sarcasm at all in my voice. We're at the P14. Like I said, 1 position at a time. You can never give up. As the pit stop cycled through and a couple more drivers had made mistakes, we find ourselves up to P12. So still a couple positions out of the points. Still very far on track away from any point scoring positions. But still a lot of time on track where someone could make a mistake, or, fingers crossed, we could still get that safety car. All the way now on lap 26, we did eventually catch and pass 1 car on track. Woo! So we're up to P11, still out of the points though, which is unfortunate. But, as you can see, Senna has retired from the session, and we've got a safety car, folks. We are back in it. And this is why you don't pull into the pits and give up. And I see drops of rain as well. And shit is hitting the fan immediately in this race. And with me having absolutely nothing to lose, and remember, in this league, there is no pit road speeding. That's why I'm flying into the pits. Just cover that. We have absolutely nothing to lose. We're not going to have the pace we should because of the damage. So we're going to take the gamble here as the rain has started to fall and go to the inners. Because honestly, why the fuck not? If we do the same thing everyone else is, we're going to lose out because of our damage. But if we've made the right call here, that means by default we'll be able to pass everyone else that makes the wrong call. So it seemed like a very good risk to take, because the cons are literally nothing. Like, what's the con? I don't score points. I'm already not going to fucking score points, so let's go for it. Now, the safety car would come in at the end of lap 30, which means we will only have lap 31 and 32. So that's only 2 laps of green flag running, which means everyone is going to be super aggressive on the ERS button. The rain is not falling enough, so dry tires are definitely better. But we're going to hope some kind of incident happens in front of us so we can still scrape together a couple points at the end of this race. Heading into turn 1, we get a bad start. We got to err on the side of caution here because we're on the wrong tire. Other drivers doing the same thing. We're not the only one on these tires. Big incidents in front of us. We're going to try to miss everything and go off the track, but inconvenient. We get bumped there. We're all just trying to dodge the incident. That shit happens. But that big crash has now put us in P10, and we are 1 point right now. We one hard fucking fought point on the cards for us right now if we can hold this position. But hey, you never know. People just got damaged from that. I would come to learn that a couple of the cars ahead have lost half, if not their whole wing. So, even though we're not on the best tire, we could still catch some of these guys and gain a couple more points in this race. You can see the Ferrari starting to become bigger in our view ahead. The McLaren ahead is still a little bit too quick for us to keep up with. The damage has just proven a little too much to handle. But we're going to give it absolutely everything we got. We're only going to have 1 lap to go when we cross the line. We're getting a great run on the McLaren. He's not using the juice. We burn our ERS. We're going to dive it on the inside. We're going to respect the space on the outside. And coming out of the last corner, this is going to mess up our run a little bit, but we're going to be able to get the slipstream off of him. We're using more ERS than him right now, but hey, this is the last lap of the race. I think he decided, hey, we have more pace than him, so he wasn't going to waste time fighting and hoping that he can get another free position if there's a mistake made ahead. We're gaining quickly on the Ferrari ahead. He has a decent amount of damage to his front wing, but I have front wing damage too, and side pod damage, and a lot of floor damage. My car is fucked. I feel bad for the people that had to work on this thing. But both Ferraris ahead have damage. You can see no wing there on his left side. We're going to get another position. Now we're up to P8. We went from absolutely nothing to picking up some point scraps here, and these few points felt really good because of how hard I had to fight for them and how much I had to suffer for them. Quickly gaining on the other Ferrari. We're going to be able to get a good enough run here. Yes, we are. We're going to gain another position, and he's on the softs. And we quickly reached a point right at the end of this lap where now the intermediates are the faster tire. It's all coming together. And a couple cars ahead have penalties. So if we can stay within 3 seconds, we could yet gain more points in this race. From absolute dead last, being taken out on the first fucking corner of the race, heavy damage on the car for the entirety of the race. We're going to come across the line and get 6th place. What a turnaround in this race. Yes, overall, I'm still very irritated with the race. Very frustrated. I felt like I deserved the win today. But being able to scrape away 6 from nothing, I feel like it kind of represents how I feel as a player. I don't give up. I'm always going to stick around. I was at the very back the whole race, and at the very end, I was able to jump up to P6. And that is a 8-point swing in my favor. Luckily for me, Manuelito still finished behind us, which, in my opinion, I feel like it's justice over turn 1. I know he didn't mean to do it, but still, nothing pisses me off more than someone taking you out of a race and then beating you like points-wise in the same race. It's just like a double kick in the dick. And Max Mulder, last year's GT3 champion in our Touring Car Endurance Championship, gets his first win in the F1 series. So congrats to him. Yeah, I'm going to shit on him because he kind of lucked into this one because the top 3 runners all got taken out in the first corner. But hey, he had a good celebration to it. You can't blame him for being happy about the first one, and he still had to fight for it at the end of the day. Our teammate was able to get 2nd place, so still great points for Haas. We keep both the drivers and constructors standings lead, which I know is the most important part, but like I said, you put in all that time and effort just to have it torn from you like that. It always sucks. There's no other way about it. But we will come back stronger in the next race. And until then, we will catch you guys in the next one.